We begin from the insurance sector tonight, where the Ghana Insurance Brokers Association, GIBA, is urging the National Insurance Commission, NIC, to provide a limitation for third-party injuries and death claims. President of GIBA, Nathan Edu, believes justice pertains to third-party property damage. Placing a cap on injury and death claims will help both parties to be well informed about claims payable in the event of an accident. He spoke to Joy Business at a cocktail event organized by the Chartered Insurance Institute of Ghana. My colleague Bismarck Awusa has more.
In the event of an accident where there is damage to another vehicle, the insurance company is liable for what is known as third-party property damage with a limit of 2,000 Ghana cedis. Under this policy, the limit could increase depending on the policyholder's financial capacity. This is, however, not the case for injuries and death claims. While some school of thought argue that it is impossible to quantify incapacitation of the human body, others believe it is necessary so as to prevent some insurers from cutting corners with regards to settlement of claims. President of Ghana Insurance Brokers Association, Nathan Edu, is one of such advocates. He is calling on the National Insurance Commission to provide a cap for such liabilities.
That is why we are talking about standard. That is why we are talking about capping. That is why we are talking about a lay-down procedure, so that if one suffers a particular injury, at least you on your own can have an idea as to how much compensation you'll be entitled to. If we have those lay-down procedure, then at least you know if you suffer amputation, you are entitled to so much. If you suffer a loss of eye or a finger or so, you are entitled to so much. Of course, taking into consideration also your dependence, your age, and your job discrepancy, description. You know, all those factors come into play.
Mr. Edu spoke to Joy Business at a cocktail event organized by the Chartered Insurance Institute of Ghana, CIIG, to outdo its new image. On his part, Deputy Commissioner of Insurance Michael Ando says much work has to be done on it before the end of the year.
It's right. That's the right thing to do. We have been working on that for quite some time. Indeed, I think there is a provision in the Insurance Act that requires us to provide caps for those liabilities. There's a document that we are working on, and we need to do the appropriate consultations and discussions to make sure that the document is workable. It needs to be passed into law because this will be used in the law court as well as the insurance laws, and so it has to go through some process to become the norm. So we are doing some work on that, on the draft. It's taken a while, but the work on it has resumed, and we hope to finalize that and put it to use.
The implication for placing a cap is that claimants will no longer be exploited by some insurance companies, and this will as well serve as a guide to insurers in the settlement of injury and death claims. For Joy Business, Bismarck Awusa reporting.
The Auditor General, Daniel Domelevo, has bemoaned the lack of independence among Ghanaian internal auditors as posing a threat to the fight against corruption. According to him, government must empower our public sector internal auditors to ensure strict compliance before approving procurements from various departments. The Auditor General's department has put on hold payments of services amounting to about 5.5 billion cedis for the years 2016 and 2017. This was disclosed by the Auditor General, Mr. Domelevo, in a news conference to highlight the report of public liabilities for those years in Accra. He noted that this is part of measures by the agency to protect the public purse.
Review the implementation and advise the weaknesses which are in the system, and I can assure you we have brought this to the attention of Minister of Finance. I was there to meet the minister himself with my team, and the chairman was with me. And we thought we need to look at internal auditing in the country once more, because it is not the best. In fact, my biggest worry, which I expressed, Chairman, if you remember, was that now Auditor General is becoming the internal auditor of Ministry of Finance. Because internal auditors have lost their independence and cannot say it as it is. Anytime they see any item of expenditure which is huge, they start running to Auditor General. Say, Auditor General, can you verify this for us? I said, no. Use your internal auditors, and I think we have to empower them to do that. Exactly. Yes, so I explained for Frederick, I've already explained why there's a difference between the Ministry of Finance figure and that of the MDAs. Is the public purse protected? It is for you and me to answer that question. I hope you've seen it protected, right? When there's so much leakage. Mind you, we have looked at only liabilities. There are several dangerous spots, like revenue. How much is the state entitled to and how much is coming into the pot? That's why I said we are very encouraged by the interest shown by the media and Ghanaians in this report. We will look at other areas and report as such. So currently, I cannot say, you can say for yourself, but I cannot say the public purse is safe until we reduce these things to the barest minimum. Thank you.
The Auditor General. Then moving on, President Akufo-Addo is expected to present to Parliament the State of the Nation this Thursday. But ahead of that presentation, we have been finding out the actual state of the economy based on the official reports, what the economists are saying, and the ordinary people. George Afe has more.
Official figures released by the Finance Ministry and the Bank of Ghana showed that when it came to expenditure, government ended last year spending far less than the 52 billion cedis projected the 2017 budget. However, the challenge has to do with revenue, as figures seen by Joy Business as of October 2017 revealed that government was far away from reaching the 43 billion Ghana cedis target. Public debt also stands at 139 billion Ghana cedis, ending November 2017. Joy Business sources say it's now trending down. Deficit and inflation rates are said to be under control, with some describing it as a sign of stability. But what are the verdict of the analysts on the true state of the economy? Professor Peter Kote is an economist.
Economy is picking up. Compared to 2016, I would say prospects for 2017 looks better, and also for 2018. We've seen some fairly decent growth rates for 2017. Some of the sectors that were not doing so well have grown marginally. Something like a sector like agriculture, which used to record negative growth rate, is seeing some positive signs. Manufacturing is also picking up. But most of the growth, or a greater proportion of the growth we have seen, is coming from oil. And that is not good enough.
So what about those on the streets of Accra? What are the assessments of the economy? Whether current developments are impacting positively on their lives? Let's hear their views.
It is glaring that the economy is picking up because you see that industry is reviving now, you see. But then there's this other problem. The jobs that were promised are not coming. You see, the youth are complaining. Everywhere you go, you see them saying they want jobs to do, want this, that, want this, that. You see, but I think there's still light at the end of the tunnel.
Well, I'm still unemployed. I'm looking for a job, so things are getting expensive. What I'm impressed about is the fact that they are trying to streamline things, like for instance the port, where they are trying to make things paperless and all that. I'm impressed with those ones.
Actually, me as a person, I can say I'm not getting it properly now. For me, not yet. Not yet, but maybe I will hope for the best.
It has not had any serious impact on my life, but I think it's not bad. Comparing with previous years, I think it's an improvement over the previous years, especially coming to being the free SHS.
The State of the Nation address will be presented by the President on February 8, according to the Majority Chief Whip, Akwesi Ameyaw. The President's address will focus on how various sectors have fared, as well as some of the key policy measures, like the one district, one factory.
And we're turning now to one story we've been following for you closely. Today, some oil marketing companies have told Joy Business they're going ahead to increase prices at the pumps. Now, this is despite an earlier call by the Energy Ministry for them to hold on because of the implementation of the Stabilisation Levy. Let's get some perspective from the managing director of oil marketing firm Engine Petroleum Ghana, that is Henry Akwaba, also a member of the Association of Oil Marketing Companies, I believe. Thanks for making time for us tonight. So we know that Total has gone ahead to increase prices. We just got confirmation also that Shell has. Has Engine done so, and what are the reasons?
Good evening to your viewers and listeners. Yes, Engine has also, we have also reviewed our prices by 4%, and the reason for this is that the ex-refinery price has also gone up. To remain profitable, the only thing you have to do is to also increase your prices in line with the general increase.
Well, yeah, and the understanding we have is that government has implemented a stabilization levy, which is supposed to cushion consumers. So did you factor that in your current pricing regime?
Yeah, that is correct. I mean, usually there's a component for price stabilization levy, but for this particular window, it's zero. We didn't add anything at all.
Why is that?
Because the government directed so. I mean, it is the responsibility of the government to direct us as to when to charge for price stabilization levy and when not to charge. For this particular window, we did not charge for it. So it means that, but for this intervention, the increase would have been higher than what you are witnessing on the market.
So where do we get this from? Because, I mean, we are getting other indications that prices were not supposed to go up because of the stabilization levy. There's a lot of confusion out there.
Okay, so when you look at the price build-up, you have the ex-refinery on one line, and then the government levies and taxes on many other lines. On this occasion, the ex-refinery price itself has gone up, okay? Now, the rate at which it went up is far more than the price stabilization levy, which means that even if you are charging zero for price stabilization, the price is still going to go up. You know, basically that's how it works.
All right. And well, when I spoke to you earlier, you spoke about the fact that you expected other OMCs to also continue to increase prices. Let's look into the future. Do you expect prices to further go up? And how do we contain this really?
Okay, so I mean, we all know that the prices at the pump is determined by prices on the world market. For this particular window, world market prices have gone up. Now, if this trend continues, then our prices at the pump are also going to move in sympathy with the world market prices, unless, I mean, maybe government decides to reduce some of the tax elements on petroleum products or decide to put in some intervention. I mean, we all know this has not worked well for the country in the past, so it is up to the government to decide on what to do.
Okay, and before I let you go, I'm going to take us back to the stabilization levy because of a story we are going to play from ACEP, which is essentially criticizing the stabilization levy. We get the impression from them that it has done little to cushion consumers. Is that the case? Do you think that it was even necessary for government to go ahead to introduce that?
Well, I think the stabilization levy was a fund that was supposed to cushion consumers in the periods when the prices were going to go up. And I believe there's an extent to which the government can come in with that kind of intervention. You know, so there have been some windows where prices should have gone up. But because of the government's intervention, by the use of the stabilization levy, the prices remain the same. So to some extent, the consumers have also benefited from the stabilization levy. We cannot discount that at all.
All right. Henry Akwaba, he is the managing director of Engine Petroleum Ghana, speaking to us. Essentially, Engine has also increased its prices, and so we continue to follow that for you. But as we've been saying, the Africa Center for Energy Policy, ACEP, has been criticizing the application of the stabilization levy, arguing its sustainability to cushion prices of petrol is not really efficient. Now, Executive Director of ACEP, Bemboachi, says the levy cannot be activated over a long-haul period of petroleum price hikes. Bemboachi says that levy can be useful during periods when conditions causing negative reactions to pricing can't be well explained. He was reacting to threats by oil marketing companies to adjust prices upward, despite government's caution for them to hold on.
Arrangement, because if you use a stabilization fund and you exhaust it, what happens beyond that? It means that you have to hit us with the right price. Other than that, government will have to subsidize. And that's why consistently we have said that that stabilization levy ought to move away from the product. We have to take it down so that we can work with the market and let the public know that those levies don't exist, and therefore when prices go up on the international market, we have to pay for that price. Because now you are stabilizing up to February, and then you hit us with the right price, and that could be hurting, for industry and for business. Because Ghana, everybody depend on petroleum products. We need petroleum products to move around because our transport system is shambolic, it's not efficient, and you can't rely on it to even attend to office work. And therefore, the only way people are able to move around is when they have petrol in their cars, to go to work and also to produce. So we need to make sure that the prices can be stable, and a way to do that is to limit how much taxes we are piling on, including the levy. That has been our position, that you cannot accumulate enough money to stabilize products over a long haul. It cannot be done. And like we are saying, when February comes and the money is out, or they've run out of the money, they'll have to pass on the cost, or further, get money from government to stabilize the price, which I don't.
Ben Boakye is also criticizing industry watchers who are advocating that the bulk oil storage transportation company BOST releases its strategic stocks to cushion price hikes. The ACEP boss says petroleum products at BOST should not be used to regulate prices, but rather be used only during periods of unexpected emergencies when there is a shortfall in supply of crude oil.
BOST to be releasing products on the market to check prices. If you have strategic stocks, you have it for critical period, critical moment, where, for example, a ship is supposed to come, it couldn't come, it couldn't deliver the product onto the market, and therefore you fall on your strategic stock, so that the market can run, so that you and I can still have product running. You shouldn't use BOST to be regulating prices, on the market. We have to have that strategic stock for emergency situations. If you use the product and the next morning a ship that's supposed to dock didn't come, we don't have products on the market. So let us use the institution the way we envision it, to work for all of us. Let us have the strategic stocks if we want it, so that when there is that emergency where we don't have the stocks. For example, if the BDCs decide that they're not going to sell the products anymore, they are private entities, okay? That is when we need BOST, to pull in, to push the products on the market, so that we can make arrangement to bring in cargoes of crude oil. But when there isn't that emergency, let us not allow them to be market players, and be regulating the market when the regulator is there.
You're watching Business Live on JoyNews. Want to turn to the stock markets? Joining me in studio, of course, Monday is Bertha to begin with the latest on the stocks. We want to begin tonight with the city because it's looking really good, isn't it?
Yes, we've seen some level of stability on the forex market.
All right, so tell us how the city has been performing today.
Okay, by close of Friday, the city had lost 3.79% to the euro and 4.79% to the pound, but to the dollar is still below 1%, 0.18%, and the year to date is 2.06%. That's the rate at which these major currencies have lost, or the city have lost against these major currencies on the Ghana interbank market. So basically there's stability on the forex market, and we should expect that to continue for some time.
Yes, because that was going to be my next question. I was going to ask you about our expectations going forward, and I want to raise the issue of the pound, because the city has been struggling against the pound over the last couple of weeks. How is that going to pan out in future, do you think?
Well, if we even look at the rate at which the city has lost against the pound, the euro, it's quite high. But comparing it to previous weeks, we realize that there has been some decline and there's been some improvement against these major currencies. So we shouldn't expect significant declines when it comes to these major currencies, that the pound and the euro against the CD in the coming week. We shouldn't expect significant declines.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, let's turn to the stocks. You're telling me it's been very bullish, that it's actually performing so well.
Yeah.
What's happening?
Well, let me just give some few factors. One is the decline in the interest rates that we're having. When fixed income market yields are going down, it has this inverse relationship with the stock market. So equities tend to do well and the entire market tends to do very well. Some equities that don't even have very strong fundamentals, sometimes looking at their PE ratio, they are able to move in the same direction with the market. And then we also have the financial equities, for instance. We are expecting the NPLs of most of the financial equities to come down, to reduce as compared to previous years, considering the economy in 2017 and even going forward 2018. And we're also expecting commodity-based equities to also move in the upward trend that we've seen on the market, considering the demand and supply moves that we have on the international market, that's the world market. So these are some of the factors that are actually influencing the bullish nature that we have on the stock market. Aside this, demand for equities is also very high. Investor sentiments has also gone up so much that when you talk about investment, now people are getting to understand that the equity market is the best now in the Ghanaian economy.
All right, you heard from Beth that the equity market is the best now.
Yeah.
So tell me, which were the movers and shakers today?
Well, by close of today, we had just one equity losing on its previous share price. Alues lost a peso to close at 15 pesos, but we had BOPP going up by 5 pesos to close at 6 cedi 70 pesos. EcoBank went up by 10 pesos, and EcoBank is currently recording a year-to-date of 54.74%. That's very high. GGBL, this particular equity, GGBL, is one equity that we used not to make so much noise about, but it's also doing very well this year. It went up by a peso to close at 2 cedis 30 pesos, returning 11.17% to investors. GOL went up by 11 pesos and returning 37.17%. And the petroleum sector is actually returning the highest yield so far on the market. PBC, a peso, SOGGH, a peso, to close at 1 cedi 35 pesos for Auditor General, and PBC 6 pesos per share. And SOGGH is returning 63.41% to investors. And we have Unilever going up by 1 cedi 54 pesos to close today at 15 cedis 87 pesos with a year-to-date of about 11.60%. And some few weeks, I think about 2 weeks ago, I was talking about SIC here. That I was expecting it to add up to investors' capital. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah,
at that time, SIC was trading at 10 pesos. And by close of today, SIC is trading at, that was as of Friday, it was trading at 23 pesos per share. So it's gone up by 130% in just few weeks. So if, let's say, investors had invested in this equity within this short time, they would have be making about 130%, and it's a low-priced equity, 23 pesos per share on the stock market. So they should get in touch with us, and we'll give them the best equities to get the highest return on the stock market.
Okay, so any reasons why we are seeing very high returns from the petroleum sector? I remember you mentioned this sometime last week. For those who are watching, jog our memory a bit.
Okay, so the petroleum sector, that's GOL and then Total, they are the only two equities on the stock market. And if you look at their financials for the past years, they've done extremely well. And if you even consider the prices, like I said, commodity-based equities are also expected to move in that upward trend. Now, if you look at the commodity, GOL, that's the petroleum crude oil on the world market, it's gone up so significantly. I think right now it's about $70 per barrel, which is quite high, and we're expecting these commodity-based equities to follow in the same trend. And one thing too is financials are very positive, are very good, and investor confidence in these equities has also gone up significantly. So investors shouldn't lose guard. They should just get in touch and make the best, create more wealth for themselves on the equity market.
All right, Betha, great to have you as always. Thanks very much indeed. Time to turn to our interview of the day. And well, the Chartered Institute of Insurance Ghana has expressed its displeasure about what it says is overpriced undercutting by some insurance companies. You can now hear from the president, Reverend Asante Marfo Ahenkwa.
It does affect the industry because what happens is that when these things are perpetrated, the insurance in general, the level of competencies in insurance get reduced. And the premiums that are supposed to finance the claims are not enough. And then we move on and then try to cut corners with claims payments. And then that cycle, the public gets disinterested in insurance and sees insurance as in a suspicious way. And then the trust in insurance go down. And then the cycle continues where we keep falling because people don't trust the output of what insurance do. Right? If there's a particular person, because insurance is practiced by professionals, then whoever is the professional's license can be withdrawn. It could serve notice to other people that you cannot get away with breaking the law as a professional and having your way.
You made mention of the fact that it cannot be sanctioned at a stance, but I understand very well that there is what we call a premium computation. It's a formula that you have to go by, and I'm sure by now insurance companies have long ago forgotten about this particular formula.
Well, they do. They haven't forgotten it, but they see others not doing it and decided, well, let me also not do it because I'm competing. All the business is going to my competitor.
Our interview of the day, and that's it for Business Live as well. My name is Daryl Carr. There's more news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business.